Cabo Ready Freddy.
We going to Cabo in the morning.
Where's Cabo?
Los Cabos is in Mexico, like the
We're not
southern
going to
tip.
Mexico.
Yeah, it's the like
Oh,
southern tip
okay.
of
So
yeah.
that's Cabo. You're going to Cabos, Mexico.
Yes.
Cabo, Mexico. Okay.
Yeah, Los Cabos is what it's called.
Is that in the northern or southern part of Mexico?
The
Mhm.
south, southwest.
Or it's south, but it's on the Pacific, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's at the very bottom,
Oh, okay.
the little tip way down there.
Right before you go into another country.
No, it's like on the peninsula.
I thought you said Pacific, though.
Yeah, you know how Mexico has a peninsula.
Oh, you talking about the Baza? I can't think I'm trying. Okay, I can't.
It's the peninsula.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of the name of it though.
I'm about to show you.
Baza, or
Oh, okay.
What you talking about?
You didn't get a bet. Well, Grandpa's just enjoying himself. You got a green screen today? What's that about? Oh,
Nah. I'm trying to Google the map for that.
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess it's frozen or something.
Well, while we googling maps, let's get into let's beer in. But it's still Women's History Month. As Auntie, she was ready to attack. I felt it. I can't hear you, Auntie. You muted.
you ready for the beer?
Auntie, you there? There's no
I said,
sound.
are you ready for me?
Oh yeah, you could beer in, Grandpa.
I'm
do
frozen.
You do whatever you want. I can see you. You're moving, Uncle Pooh.
Oh, my computer frozen.
I see her.
Oh, there you go.
Auntie is still I still can't hear Auntie.
I can't hear her either.
It's always something. We get Grandpa right now, Auntie cameras and stuff not working.
Yeah, I don't hear. I see her when she's working her mouth and then come out.
Dang, this is most not fortuitous for this specific episode. Wow. Oh, Auntie said she's fixing it.
Here you go. Bring me back up. Bring back up my screen. I show Dad.
Okay. So Los Cabos, Mexico. Where are you going to Los Cabos?
Our mastermind is going. It's going to be like 100 of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the 100 black entrepreneurs. You know that group I'm in.
Yeah, right.
So this is where Cabo is.
Yeah, I saw that peninsula. I see the peninsula. What's the name of that peninsula?
The Baja Peninsula.
Baja. That's what I kept saying. Baja. That's where you're going at.
Yeah, down here.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Actually, I said Baja. Yeah, right.
Hey, Auntie, you here?
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
I'm clear.
All right, we done.
All right, you can drop that, Josh.
Okay, cool. So, welcome everybody. It's Women's History Month. We done got. Extremely polite of you. I don't know what that was about, but
that's what I said. Thank you for remembering.
I didn't forget. Let's beer in. Grandpa said we got beer in too. So, Auntie, why don't you go first? What you got today?
Oh, ladies first.
Well,
y'all go because that young would come down. I didn't know if he had one or not, so I just grabbed something.
You got something?
Well, I don't really want it though. What were you about to get?
One of these good beers.
Well, get me that. Y'all go first, cause what I was gonna get, I was gonna be gutted today. I didn't even bring a glass for it.
I didn't bring a glass either. It's been a harsh day.
How often do I not drink out of a glass?
I understand. What up? So, Grandpa, what you got?
I got the good stuff.
Oh, okay. This is probably St. Paul's girl or something.
Achilles.
Is that a Heineken can?
Is that Rolling Rock?
Rolling Rock. Oh, I don't want to get away from the good stuff.
Things Grandpa didn't run out of the good beer we bring him.
Oh my God.
He decided to go back to the liquor store to get some Rolling Rock.
Let me tell you a story about Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock.
When I was in college, I was rooming with two of my best friends, and one of our friends' daddy came down. They came down for something, and we had just had a get together, so it was just leftover drinks and stuff in the house. and he had never had a Rolling Rock, so he grabbed it. You know, he was like, "All right, let me go taste it." That man took one sip, looked at it, and said, "If you ever want to kill me, give me this trash right."
Yeah.
And here go Pops drinking it like it's amazing.
Then he got like a.
You don't know
Oh my
beer.
gosh.
See, what's funny about this to me is that Rolling Rock, each can comes with broken glass inside the can. So, you know, that exotic taste might be something else, Grandpa.
No, that is.
I don't even think y'all drank some Rolling Rock.
Unfortunately, we did. And then we started liking ourselves.
Yeah, this is the good stuff here. Y'all are talking about.
Well, you saying it's a connection to the closer your family member is to slavery, to how much bad beer they like to drink.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that is. That is not good, Pops. Not at all.
You got Uncle Pooh Bear turning his camera off. He's just a floating hand serving you today. That's Women's History Month, y'all.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've been reduced to, Judge.
Oh, okay.
No, elevated. Remember, it's elevated to meet your.
Agreed. You go. You can take it up.
Oh my goodness. So Grandpa got Rolling Rock.
Right.
What's it called, Auntie? What y'all got?
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah, you don't talk about.
You said what y'all got, Auntie? What you said it was?
All right. So we did talk about. So what I was gonna do was this warlock.
Mm-hmm.
This is what real beer looks like. Okay, go ahead.
No, it does not, Pops.
Grandpa,
No, it does not.
Grandpa, you know you're showing it to the wrong camera too. You talking
Show it to the
TV.
other camera so people can. Yeah, get your glass and show it over there so people can see that that's not real beer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Pops.
Grandpa dressed like an interpretive dancer.
Pops, that is translucent. That looks like water.
What's water?
Your beer looks like water.
No, this is the good stuff. Water. Look at that. Don't that look like a good beer?
No, that looks like a good apple cider. A sparkling apple cider.
I was trying to kind of imitate beer, but apple cider can't do it though. It want to look like beer, but it can't taste like beer.
I got this.
I know. I'm giving it a 6 to start with.
Okay.
I'm surprised.
What y'all rating y'all's, Auntie?
It's worth every bit of a 6, huh?
I'm going 8.
You going 8?
Pop said his beer is every bit of a 6.
Well, hold on, Uncle Pooh. It's Women's History Month. Your rating is obsolete. Only Auntie's rating today. Only Auntie's rating today matters.
Oh, I'm so mad. I need to get me a different glass and get one of my kids.
She's not even hearing these jokes I'm throwing for her. She just,
I heard you. I've chosen to ignore you today for now.
As is your right during Women's History Month.
Only this month?
He treat women like America do black people during Black History Month.
Wow.
You know, that was messed up.
So that means as a black woman, I get 2 months of it, huh? Back to back. I'm so mad at this glass.
All right,
while Auntie's looking at her glass, I got this thing from Arby's Brewing Company, Satin Skies Oatmeal Stout.
Okay.
I don't even think I've had this before. It's one of my friends brought it over. I don't have a glass for them today, but you know. It smells like chocolate oatmeal. So take that for what it is. Like dark chocolate, not like milk chocolate oatmeal. I'm assuming it's gonna be bitter. So I'm gonna start off with a 5 because I'm not really into bitter.
You can check the IBUs on the can.
IBUs. Oh, it's 65% alcohol by volume.
Oh, 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. I said 65. This thing will be toxic. 6.5%. I'm gonna leave it at a 5. It's not. It's you probably love it because it's like it's more of a dark chocolate, deep, bitter taste.
Something like no beer to me. That's what beer look like.
Okay.
No. That doesn't even almost look like the trashy beer.
That looked like when you urinate after drinking beer.
I was gonna say that, but I was trying not to say that about Pops.
That looks like after you had a glass of Verner's with a bunch of ice cubes in it.
Yeah.
And then the ice melt and it clarifies it a little bit more.
That's what it looks like.
But now that we done beard in, we want to get into
y'all know what good beer looks
but I want to lead into it with this because it perfectly summarizes this. Have you heard about the Naomi Osaka situation?
No, what's new about it?
So she's a famous tennis player,
right.
And I forgot what the venue's called, but she was requesting that they throw out some hecklers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying some things, but apparently this venue in particular, if I gotta look it up again for the name, has been historically racist towards the black tennis players. Like Venus and Serena boycotted the stadium, the venue, or whatever, for years and what have you. And I was reading like comments under one of the posts about it, and a lot of older black people were just saying she's a toughen up and everything. But like whenever you confront them about saying why is it that your response to racism are people being aggravated towards black people, especially a black woman, is that you say she needs to toughen up as opposed to they need to stop what they're doing.
Pretty
and
much.
that made me think of this Women's History Month, but more specifically black women. Like, why is it that what is it that you face, Auntie, where people like you'll blatantly tell them this has happened. You have facts, everything. Like it might be real time happening, and people come at you like you're the problem.
Oh shit! How much time we got? I mean, that is honestly just so. I'll give you an example. Quick, more recent one was like my last corporate job. I had a white female supervisor. I won't call her a boss, but the way she was talking to me, and it was funny because when it first started, we were on the phone. And here I am telling one of my white counterparts, who I thought was my friend at the time, she actually said, honestly, let me back on up. I'll just fast forward, I should say. Last year, that old white coworker who used to be my friend, she sent me a message. She reached out because she was saying that she hated that we didn't really talk anymore and da-da-da-da-da. And I just told her, I said, I didn't appreciate how with all that was happening, you turned a blind eye to it. She actually said to me, well, sometimes you weren't nice either. And da-da-da-da-da. So she basically tried to put it on me. I ain't tell you that, friend. She tried to put it on me and said, y'all weren't nice to each other or something. And I was just like, wow. Like, okay. I just left it at that. I'm good for a quick okay. But it was like, when we talk about the black woman, have I ever told you that when I was working in corporate America, I worked for a very, very white male dominated company and industry. And when I would travel to go train, I used to wear what I consider to be my non-threatening hair to not come in too black. Because I knew initially they were going to be concerned that I was going to be an angry black woman, as opposed to just accepting who I was for what I was. Mm-hmm. Of course, once I open my mouth, they have a choice, but it's always like that. I'm not going to say always, but it's like that a lot with folks who aren't black. And unfortunately with men, because they don't understand how much we carry for real. Like I'm trying to find this quote. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it was something about how a lot of times with black women, when we think we're struggling and failing or whatever, it's honestly just depression or something like that. Like, no, something about when we're struggling with depression, anxiety, and all that, we look at it as failure because there's so much put on us, so many expectations. I need to find it so I can read it because I am jacking it all up. But yeah, we get that all the time. Yeah. That's why it's always dope when you get an ally, whether it's a male ally, hey, Highline Blade, whether it's a white ally or a white male ally. It's always dope when you get it because at this point, it's so unexpected for people to be on your side in certain situations, especially controversial ones. Because when I was in basic training, this white dude called me a black bitch.
I remember that. We are aware of this legendary story.
And I was so happy that my two white male drill sergeants, they were more mad than anybody else. Now, the black one got them too. But it was just dope that all of them surrounded us. It's always, and it was nice well, not nice, but when I was in Germany and white man thought he could slap me on the ass and it was okay. It was dope that all the men surrounded me and supported me as opposed. Now, maybe it was because he was a German and it was some type of battle, because we all know that in America, if a woman says that a man did something, woman is always questioned, as you said. Well, what did you do? What were you wearing? Did you make eye contact? Did you flirt with him? As opposed to teaching the men to respect the woman.
Out here smiling.
Right. How dare you make eye contact? Your uncle would tell you, I don't speak to men out in public.
Well, the pimper rules are that strong. Like, well, you don't look up when you're with me.
No, I'm talking about when I'm by myself. Because men will just assume they assume it. I remember one time I was at Walmart, I couldn't find something, and I'm on the phone with your uncle, and he was like, "Ask somebody," and I was like, "All I see is men." And he was like, "But I asked him," I was like, "No," because I actually had a homeless guy. This one I learned my lesson. I was at home one time getting me some rice at the rice house. I was sitting outside waiting on my food. Man walked up and said, "Hey, do you have $1?" And I said, "Sure." So I gave him $1. He went inside. I sat on my car waiting for the food. It was a beautiful day. He came out and he was like, "If I'd have known you were still here, I'd have bought you a soda." And I said, "With the $1 I gave you?" he said, "Yeah." And he was like, "I'd like to take you out."
That's confidence right there. That's otherworldly confidence.
I said, "Well, I'm married." He said, "Really? I couldn't tell the way you was looking at me."
See, that's some old pimping. Like, if she looked, she took. You know what I mean?
From that day on, I do not look men in the eye. I don't ask them for nothing out in public. No.
They want you to understand. He's like, "Ma'am, I asked you for that $1 to see how down you were for me. This prize would have been the Coke when I came back."
No. That man said he was going to buy me a drink with my own $1. But yeah, a lot of times, you know, women ain't believe. Stop playing.
I mean, I just thought it was
because we're told too often that he showed this, shoot that shot. He went forward. But you know what? I think part of the issue is that too often we're told that we're emotional, and that's a way to blow off anything that we're saying and doing. But my thing is this: everything is an emotion. Yeah, sadness, anger, passion, all of those are emotions, but we're, so often they love to say that women are emotional, meaning that we can't be rational, and that we can't be telling the truth. That it's like, oh, we're blowing everything up, as opposed to looking at the situation for what it is. Because like you said, with the whole Naomi Osaka thing, she shouldn't have to be subjected to that. Nobody else is, because you better believe if one of those white tennis players, first of all, ain't no black spectator about to be up in there screaming at these white tennis players, heckling them, calling them whatever, and that's okay. Right. They will be removed before the tennis player even realizes it's even happening.
Let's talk about that part. That's the only procedure. Like, they gotta, if someone's heckling and it's to the point where it's like obnoxious, they will escort you out. They'll get you out of there.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Well, go over that again. What happened to Naomi Osaka?
She was getting heckled or whatever at this tennis tournament, and the venue didn't do anything about it. And people were like saying she needs to toughen up and all that. But like, normally the procedure is, if someone's being heckled or especially if a tennis player, because she asked for that person to be removed. If they ask them to be removed, they get removed. But like the venue was slow about it, or they didn't do it or whatever. And it was just another example. The people are trying to make it seem like she's soft or whatever. But regardless if she's soft, if it's your job to remove somebody and you don't, that's on you.
Yep. And that whole toughen up thing, I don't like that, because like there's certain situations, sure, we have to be able to adjust to. And that's just with everybody in life, right? Yeah. But we can't just create stones and just act and make everything, because if everybody toughens up to everything, there's no time where anybody has to face what could just be wrong. It's like, oh, I can do. It's like the doggo. What's that movie where everything was legal for one day?
The Purge.
Yeah, it's like the Purge.
Oh,
wow! You should just Joshua. You big Joshua today.
That's funny.
But then it just becomes the Purge when nobody has to just exhibit common decency and courtesy. Everybody can learn and get better.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think it's definitely it's just interesting how I see it. Well, like it was like what we were talking about earlier with like how Grandpa views his beer and how we view beer. It was like the older black folks who were commenting were all saying kind of the same thing about how she needs to toughen up, and then like people who were younger. It was like the further, and like it reminds me of something that I think Uncle Pooh Bear posted about like our family members who were older and who like may have their grandparents may have just got out of slavery and stuff like that. The closer you are to slavery, the more your mindset is to you just need to toughen up. It ain't that bad. Like it's wild to me that I saw so many people say the same thing.
Now I'll say
because
this.
they've experienced a lot more. You know what I mean? They done seen what it looked like when shit's serious. And like somebody just talking, they like, bro, somebody talking. Like, what are you even doing paying attention to them? But I at the same time, you know, at a professional venue, they got to get thrown out. They even do that in basketball arenas. You get to talking crazy, the player point at you, and you get removed. So,
oh yeah, they'll walk you out.
Yeah, but and to speak to the Williams sisters, you know, if they've been boycotting this particular place, then obviously it's got something to do with ownership, management, and that's in their system. That's who they are. This is what they about. Because this didn't just start happening.
Right.
So maybe Naomi should just boycott her. I mean, she's the biggest thing in tennis anyway. So all right, you have your little all white venue. Y'all do y'all little all white thing, but I'm gonna be over here playing real tennis on another level with Serena, right?
Hello. But I will say this: I do think the youngins are soft in certain things. Now, with Naomi,
you experience a different level of racism too, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying like Naomi.
Auntie gonna tell these young girls like, you ain't never been called a black bitch. You don't know nothing about that.
I've been called so many black bitches. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But no, I was just thinking about this post I saw on IG that they were showing the different decades and how they responded to the same situation. So they said the 70s. Dude walking, he make mistake and hit the door jam, you know, and you just keep on walking, you know. They're like the 80s, you know, they bumped and then he looked up and down. Then like by the time they got to the 2000s, they falling all dramatic and they video recording everything. It's like they are softer than the stuff that we've gone through and more, you know, like some things I'm like, come on now. But I've been told sometimes, it's funny how some people say I'm super emotional, some people say I'm super cold. I could be a little bit of both.
It's the softer side of Sears this generation.
But it's like they say, hard times create hard men create soft men create hard times. And that's just
I have never heard that, man.
I haven't either, but that's real.
Oh, really? Oh,
say it again.
See, like that gray is finally starting to impart wisdom from Uncle Pooh.
Wow.
That's the first fully activated now. It's on
that's the first
now.
Old man saying I ever heard from Uncle Pooh Bear. He's always like, I'm young.
Wow.
He's like, I'm bald by choice.
Wow.
Say it again.
So he's gonna be saying other old people phrases like, you know, cucumber tastes better pickled.
Fred, Pop said, say it again.
Hard times create hard men create soft men create hard times.
You should put that on a shirt. That's actually pretty decent.
I read that somewhere. I wish I could claim it.
It's too late.
Yeah.
If they don't got a patent, what is it? They don't got a patent on it or something?
They don't got a trademark. I mean, it's the truth though. But that's this society we in, man. I don't know what they create now. This is gonna be interesting to see where this is going. I saw this is kind of in the realm, but I saw a discussion on transgender women. I don't know if it was transgender women. I don't think they got the surgery to become female, right?
Okay.
They just identify as a woman.
I want y'all to notice how careful Uncle Pooper is being.
Man, that's why I said,
because he didn't came at the nation all tough, but when them other people show up,
hey, I want to be sure that I'm speaking.
You want to be absolutely sure. It's all right. Let's see what's going on.
We don't want that smoke, brother, on the show, bro. We can withstand all the other fronts, but you don't want this one.
You see, as soon as you said trans, I was like,
yeah, well, it wasn't trans.
No, go ahead.
Black out.
But the white boy, dude, young man, whatever, identified as a woman. He had like the long hair. He was wearing dress, but he had a beard, right?
Well, I saw that.
You know what I'm talking about? So it's like Dr. Beard.
He was just like, "What's a woman?" He's like, "Well,
yeah."
And he's like, I identify as one. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
But how you identify something you don't know?
But like, yeah, you right, all of that. But like my man said, just because you feel a certain way, I don't have to take part in that delusion. Like that's you said you feel like a woman. I feel like I'm handsome. Every time you talk about me, you have to refer to me as intelligent, handsome, and amazing, right? Because that's how I identify. You don't have to come and take part in my delusion, right? Like that may or may not be true. But just like you identify as a woman, what's a woman? Like you don't identify as a woman. Like you just because you feel that way. He was just saying he doesn't have to take part in that viewpoint, right? Like just you can't own an adjective or whatever. However he
right.
He
yeah, he said that.
But my point is this society that we're creating is bending over backwards for everybody,
except black people.
Well, except black people. Right?
Now we back on.
We still live in reality, right?
But let's get back to the topic.
Go back to what the last comment. I want to talk about that. Hotline Bling said most kids raised by really good people end up too soft because they don't know the struggle. That's so funny. I had this conversation frequently with my friends, but I just had the conversation with one of my girlfriends yesterday. I had a very random memory of something we had to do just to get by in college. And we were cracking up, laughing, talking about it. And we kept saying how kids these days, like back then, we used to just have to figure stuff out. Like everything wasn't handed to us. Like our parents, only one of our friends, two of them came from 2-parent household. It was still middle class at best. Our parents weren't paying for school. We all still probably paying off our loans or they deferred still, whatever. So we just had to figure out how to make it happen. And we were laughing, talking about how these kids these days, they don't know the struggle because we don't want our kids to struggle like we did, right? But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, like I want to be able to feel comfortable with kicking my kids out the nest and they are going to fly because they know how to adjust to certain situations. Like often.
You got to change that mindset, Auntie.
Why?
Because you shouldn't be worried about where they can fly. You should be worried if they can just walk out the door. Flying is called thriving. How you gonna start from zero? How you gonna start from zero and thrive if you ain't got
the nest?
Yeah, but we humans, we gotta walk out the door. We ain't flying.
Okay, give me more. Go forward to that.
Flying is generational wealth. Like you walk out the door and you got a business that you handed them. That's what flying is. Walking out the door is you have taught them right, and they have some idea what they're going to do. They can feed themselves. They can, take care of themselves. But flying out the door is you own a chain of KFCs and you gave them 3. Now they own that.
I get what you're saying, but we're saying the same thing. But I like how you added to it because when I say kick them out the nest and they can fly, that's still a survival skill. Because if the bird ain't learned how to fly, the damn thing gonna crash and die. So, but I still get what you're saying with being able to go higher. But it's just different though, because I used to say all the time I want to be able to send my kids to East St. Louis for the summer and let them get some street knowledge because it's different.
It's $5, come back with $1,000 by the end of summer.
Why it gotta be drugs?
I ain't saying nothing about drugs.
Yes, you did.
I said, here's $5. come back with a grand by the end of summer.
Why I gotta be hustling?
Come back with a grand.
Hey, you went to drugs. There's a lot of ways you can get money over.
Why does it have to be hustling? Why does it have to be money?
Because it's St. Louis. I know what you're talking about. I lived in Inkster. Like we all.
Whoa,
like,
that is not what I meant.
I never sold drugs, but I made money in Inkster. I mean, that's you know what I mean.
It was not about money. It was about being able to read a room and read a situation. The same way how at your graduation party, I knew it was about to go down. I turned around. I told your uncle, I said, something ain't right. The energy is wrong in here. I had my back up this wall. The energy is wrong. Something's about to go down. And next thing you know, what we hear, he got good. He got good. I was like,
I about my high school graduation party. I remember that one. That was a funny day.
Your uncle always say I'm ghetto and I'm hood. I'm like, it's about survival. I pay attention to my surroundings.
Me and Danny was having something along this conversation because he was saying,
who?
Danny. Mm. He was talking about how he made a comment. He was like, man, he was talking about the boys, and he was like, man, you would be concerned if the boys was walking around Inkster and hanging out X, Y, and Z. I said, boy, I'd be concerned if I was walking around Inkster and hanging out. Like, what you talking about, fam? He was like, man, you know, they sheltered this, and that. I was like, no, they've been on road trips. They'd have been outside. They'd take trip downtown Chicago hanging out. But I'm like, the environment, the quote unquote hood that you speaking on, bruh, this ain't normal. You're not supposed to know how to survive in this area. This is not a normal situation, man. We gotta strive to get out of those situations. You should know how to operate in that situation. Should. Now, I understand survival instincts is important. But that's not my point. My point is that environment isn't normal.
It shouldn't be your daily life.
It's not a normal thing. Like you should be able to survive in regular atmospheres. But you know, America isn't a normal place, right? Everybody walking around with guns on their hips. Like I'm not feeling it's weighing on me. I'm just not feeling this whole everybody got a gun and we safer mentality. I don't feel safer with everybody walking around with a gun.
I will say one. In their hand. I will say one thing. Them Ukrainian people happy they got their guns because they were they at least resisting.
Well, if you know, boy, I was about to say it. Go ahead.
I just want to go back. I got to make this point that I've made before and tie it into Joshua. You need to give your uncle a nice prophetic name for that deep quote. Hard times create hard men create soft men create hard times. Right? Did I get that right? Yeah. So I said that all to say is that as soon as you said that, I looked at Pops. Because not to say Pops is soft, but I would never take him as a hard man. You know what I'm saying? Like when I hear hard man, being hard on his kids, hard on the people around him, and being hard to life around him, even with everything that Pops is going through, like Joshua said, he's closer to racism than all of us. Pops is still the most smiling, optimistic person I've ever met in my life.
That's because you start off hard, but just like it's like this. All stones start out hard until they get weathered. Grandpa has been weathered by time and things that he experienced that he's now a smooth, soft stone again.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
What you got, Pops?
No, I was just thinking about, I come to the conclusion that I begin to really, after all these, to understand you got all these different biblical verses and things such as you reap what you sow and do unto others and all this stuff. But basically, they're telling you that we all one, you know. Uh-oh. And you're going to reap what you sow, no matter what. Mm-hmm. Now, if you sow good, you're going to reap good. So I'm thinking your whole future is involved in your thought process of dealing with somebody thinking that you're dealing with yourself. Now, sometimes you may get ripped off, but eventually, if you sow good seed, you're going to reap a good crop. And that applies. The other person think he got away with something by ripping you off. He monkey around and come to find out that he got to pay his dues too. So I'm saying that no matter what, this thing is real deep as to reaping what you sow and do unto others. And Jesus just is saying that you got to think of everybody. The love, you got to be just one. When you do something, you do it in the form of love, and you're gonna get back some love.
Mhm.
Now, if you do it in the form of hate, it don't happen. You're gonna get back some because that's a law. You know,
Mhm.
nobody have to say, "Well, I'm gonna punish him. I'm gonna punish him." No, you punish yourself because the law says this. And when you do otherwise, you're gonna reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Anybody going along with what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with that. So I'm about to be an antagonist and let's see what y'all think on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and now I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday too about how some people are so good and they get so much trash thrown at them. And some people who've been trashy get good, right? So, but we know of instances of people who lived really good lives and they unfortunately passed before they got to see something good given back to them. So, is that good that's coming to them in the afterlife? They got blessed with going to heaven. Is
Like
that
they
what
say,
is that what the reward is?
what they always say, we're spiritual beings having a earthly experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave this earth, you ain't nothing but that experience that you had because you're gonna go back. But that spirituality part of you, that soul, it's gonna live on. So
So basically,
so you so you, so you caught hell in this life, but man, the next life,
wow, I like it.
the law said you're gonna reap some benefit. But if you think this is it, then you got a wide awakening coming.
So that's why they love to say people going to hell when they do something wrong. You
Yeah,
going to hell. so, you, so you might be having
hell can
fun
be
right now,
hell can
but
be
you going
another
to
earthly
hell.
experience. Hey, hell could be another earthly experience. You leave here with your soul intact, and you come back.
Oh my
And you say
God.
that's hell on earth.
That's not too far from some schools of
Oh,
thought, like where you just keep coming back until you achieve what you're supposed to achieve.
I've
And
heard
move
of
on,
that.
and then you move on. Then you move on. But until
Move
you learn
on to
that
where?
this is a
To the
school.
next part, to the next thing in life.
You learn the lesson, you keep coming back.
There have been many days I've asked myself, like, what the hell did I do in a former life that this is falling on me now? Like, who did I mess over? Who did I hurt? Because I feel like I'm a good person now.
You feel like
But
you tell
who did I used to be? Like, what
you think
happened?
this is the pinnacle. You done learned everything.
How many
No.
times somebody ask you what's your purpose here? What's your purpose here on earth? What did I do or what do I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
But you know that whatever it was, you didn't get the full lesson. That's why
Yeah.
you keep asking. But say when a person knows, you know, if he knows what his purpose here is, then he can go on and fulfill it.
Mm.
Say for instance, maybe your purpose is to go and teach somebody something. So you
Yeah.
keep going till you finally teach somebody, then you can move on to another school.
Well, you know what, Pops?
What's
Well,
that?
two things. One, even though this is Women's History Month, I've already claimed that while I've chosen to come back as a man in my next life, because y'all live a life, I want to be spoiled. I swear I'm getting married as soon as possible. But second thing, when you talk about what your purpose is in life,
Yeah.
the one time I really felt like I had that answer was the first time I really remember asking myself that question in October of 98. I was in a really bad car accident, car flipped over and all that stuff. And I remember when I climbed out that ditch and I was looking down at my car, I was like, why am I here? Like, why am I not dead? The hood of the top of my car, the roof of my car was smashed in onto the driver's side seat only. Like, I'm like, why didn't it kill me? Why am I here? And honestly, my answer after that was Jael. I was like, this boy is meant to be here to do something amazing. I don't know what he's going to do, what he's going to impact. At the time, we thought he was going to be the first Black president, but that has passed. But I do remember feeling like he was the reason why I was saved that day.
You know, now that was a dream, right?
No, sir. I was in. No, that accident was real.
I thought you said that you dreamed that you had an accident.
No, that's just say when I climbed. No, the picture. I show the
Grandpa
pictures
leaned
next
forward.
time I see.
Grandpa leaned forward like he had a hymn that he was going to drop on.
But I'll tell you this though, like they
Well,
always say.
He had a parable waiting.
I had a dream, and it didn't make no sense.
It was all a dream.
Over the years, it kind of makes some sense. Is I had a horse. And that sounds stupid, but I had a horse. It was a beautiful horse, you know. And in this dream, it was a colored dream, and the horse fell down into
Grandpa, colored as in.
Let him finish.
and the horse fell down into a ditch. And the guy was going to help get me my horse out for $600. I wrote it down, you know, all a few years ago. But I said, no, $600 was too much. So I tried to get him out myself. But the overall thing was the horse died. And then I was saying, I let my horse die for $600. I mean, there's a meaning. I don't know what it was all about. But and you be crying when I could have saved him. But I didn't want to pay the $600 to get him out the hole, so the horse died. $600, you know.
Let that horse die for $600.
There's a message there for me. I just didn't get it, you know.
That's where you'll come back, Grandpa. You coming back. Ain't no next part of life.
You gonna come back as a horse.
Somebody say that horse.
Somebody say that horse.
You know what? Maybe that was a dream of your past life where you were the horse and it was trying to rectify the situation for you. And now you have closure.
You know, it's interesting listening to y'all talk about, like, you know, the life and the existence and all of that. It reminds me of Chris. What did we just finish? What did you just finish? Netflix. Damn it.
The Last Kingdom?
The Last Kingdom. Reminds me of The Last Kingdom because the Christians came in for not the Saxons. What's the other one's name?
The Danes.
The Danes, right? And they wanted to make the Danes Christian. And the Danes had their own religion. They had their own belief system.
They had their own god Odin.
They had their own god, right? Their gods, right? They had their own. They had their own everything. But the Christian priests are the people, and the king is talking like they know what's gonna happen on life and death and everything. And they talk with such conviction that if you wasn't stirred in your belief, you didn't have no conviction in yours, you would actually believe them. And it just, every time I hear people talking about religion, I think about moments like this because people are literally speaking about stuff that they just believe. You just feel it's a certain way. Like, nobody has any proof, and everybody points to things that have been created as proof, but like that's not proof, right? It's just really how you feel about the situation. So I don't know. That whole conversation reminded me of that back and forth in that show because each side is earnest in what they're saying, right? Like they honestly believe it, and folks are dying for, you know, the oath and their word and X, Y, and Z because it all matters in the afterlife because they're gonna go to Valhalla, right, or something like that.
Well, the Danes are.
The Danes are, right, and the Christians are going to heaven, right? Same difference, right? Different words.
I was in Chicago. Have you ever heard of Dr. Delbert Blair? The metaphysics. You never heard of him? He was from Chicago, and he used to come here, and he would have what you call classes. I guess I'll say classes because I haven't got the word for what I want to say. But anyway, he was always saying about truth, you know. He said, you say, what I say is the truth. And he'd always say, yeah, that's the truth. But you got to remember, that's your truth. Everybody, that ain't my truth. That ain't the truth. That's your truth. Because nobody knows what the truth is, you know. He said, as far as you're concerned, yeah, that's true. That's your truth, though. So don't try to put on to me because I ain't believe it, you know.
Yeah, but the only people that talk in terms of absolute truth is quote unquote believers. People who believe and people who have high faith. They speak in absolutes as if they know the truth.
That's
which
why
you know
he was
really
saying,
is
he said,
preposterous.
yeah, that's the truth, but that's your truth. That's what they don't understand. You know, they believe it so precious because they understand, but that's their truth. That ain't
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah, like I say, your perception is your reality. But nephew, I was just laughing. Your uncle tried to get your show shut down. He talking about trans world. Now he talking about the believers. Lord. Who else you gonna talk about? Who else we gonna go for
Hey,
today?
I
Better
just
talk about
advance
Obama.
You see how smooth my aunt is, Uncle Pooh Bear? She said, "Yo, show." She not have a cast member no more. She done
yeah,
removed herself. She done
Slid
removed
that
herself.
on you, that
Yeah, she ain't
responsibility.
part of this.
She slid out the screen too. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not trying. No, I'm careful with my language now, right? Like, you know, I'm just speaking as a realist, right? Like, the only people who speak in absolutes,
Oh,
as I
really?
speak absolutely, are
No, wait a minute. No. They'll change it when you ask a question, and then they say you're just supposed to have blind faith. When they don't know, if you pull out some of the things, I should say, from the Bible that don't necessarily make sense, they'll say you just gotta have faith. You gotta have blind faith. So
Yeah.
the only thing that they're resolved in is that their God is gonna be right and fix it and make a way.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Let's see
just,
how
you know,
long.
I used to argue with him. I don't argue no more. I kind of giggle now. I think it's funny. I think it's
So
funny that, you know, with your finite mind, you think that you have figured out everything that's going on in the universe, right?
yeah.
And I've resolved to be okay with not knowing and just letting it whatever happens, happen. Like, I'm okay with that. Ain't nothing you can do about it anyway. So you might as well be okay.
I'm not even gonna front. I like to hedge my bet. Why not believe in God? The rewards are there.
You sound like your Uncle Hank. He said the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do I have to lose by believing in God? It's nothing but upside.
Well, if you wait a minute, the thing is, if you do it right, though, that's the thing. Folks will be like, "Oh, I believe in God," but y'all not following the so-called word of Christ. You're not.
Well, just believing ain't enough, right? So
No, it's not
according
just
to the
believing.
Thank
scripture,
you.
Like, I try to live a good, the charitable life. You're supposed to be charitable. You're supposed to be helpful. I try to do it. Like when I see homeless people, I try to offer them food or whatever I have to give them. Like I know there's passages, at least in the New Testament, that talk about how Jesus was he was always talking about helping people who are in true need. And I mean, I don't got a whole bunch of money. I don't have a whole bunch of stuff. But I do know whenever I see a homeless person, I will try to assist them.
You sound just like a Christian who pulling out one thing and saying, "I do this right, so I'm a Christian."
No, I never said I was. I never
And
said I
I'm
was.
going
I
I'm
never
going to
said. I
heaven
never said
because
I
I
was.
did this part.
I
We
never
ain't gonna
said it
talk
was
about
good.
the
I never said it
fornication.
was
We
like.
ain't gonna talk about the kid you stole as a kid because everybody did. We ain't gonna talk about looking at another woman and saying she's
I'm
beautiful.
gonna be honest. I'm gonna be
Hold on
honest.
now. Hold on. I may have stolen things, but I love my wife. I don't even look at
Oh,
other
we
women.
know you love your wife because she's
I
absolutely gorgeous.
don't even see women anymore. You just glasses floating in
Don't
the
lie
air
like
right
that,
now.
nephew.
I'm gonna say.
Don't lie like that.
I'm gonna tell the truth and say that I like to help homeless people, but I'm not helping no homeless
I knew you were
white
gonna
person.
say that. I was trying to.
I'm
Well,
not
no,
helping homeless white
I didn't
people.
say all that. I didn't say
Oh,
all that to say that that was like
Yeah.
an automatic get into heaven thing. But like, I do what I can. That's my whole thing. I think if you honestly do what you can, that's all you can do. It's kind of
So if I can't stop stealing,
it's no different than what Uncle Poober just said. I'm just gonna let whatever happen happen.
Yeah.
but
Like,
I can't stop stealing. I can't stop cheating. I can't
If
stop
God got a
lying.
problem
I
with
don't
me
steal or cheat
not helping
and
homeless white people, then
so,
we got
I
an
mean,
issue. Because
I think it really is. You gotta do.
white people in the last 300 years have had every advantage on the planet, and you out here homeless. This shit your fault. I'm not helping.
No, I mean, like as
You did
just
this
for
on
me,
purpose.
like just for my
Leave the
doing
Percocets alone.
for
It's
myself.
your fault. Call
I
mama
think
and tell her
that
you
if,
love her. And
I
then
think for
get
me,
that
whatever chance I can get to answer, like it's I think at times in life you will get challenged to do the right thing. Like for example, I don't know, this is just an arbitrary thing. Those people in your life, Auntie, I'll use you as an example. Those dudes who stood up for you when that dude called you that thing when you were in the military. I think not everybody can answer and do the right thing when time calls them. And I think those are life tests. And those are ultimately help determine what's going to happen to you. Like people who
Also, in these certain matters moment. on
So
only so
No, I
certain
think
moments that-
throughout life you can study and learn what you're supposed to do, but life is going to test you to see if you really are that person.
I think this, because I pulled up the 10 Commandments, because I was just curious. I think as long as you do the first one, that's all he really give a damn about. Because he's spoiled and he's selfish. The first commandment is the only one that's like a whole ass paragraph. The rest of them real quick. Don't kill, don't steal, don't curse. Honor your pop, your mom, and your daddy. The first one, I am your Lord. I am the Lord your God. You should not have strange gods before me. You should not make to thyself any graven. It's a whole paragraph. As long as you do that, he don't care about nothing else. That's why people say that they repent on their deathbeds and they go to heaven. They say, my bad, I'm sorry, God, you're great to me. Let me in the house.
Hey, I understand that. All I'm saying is this. I think ultimately is for any faith, it's what you're comfortable doing.
I feel like you should live
But
a
what's
good
good?
life, period. Why do you have to put a title on it?
But what's good?
A good life, like you said, doing things that are nice, helping people. Everything that you said, I do. But I would not say that I'm a Christian, and I don't know where I'm going after I depart this earth. It's not a matter of me. It doesn't matter to me because it doesn't determine how I'm going to act right now. All I can do is live in this life. And I'm going to do what I can to keep helping people. I'm going to do things to make me feel good, make you all feel good. It doesn't matter. I don't have to get a reward afterwards. And I feel like a lot of Christians do things because they want a reward of going to heaven. Whereas people who are just living a good life, helping the elderly, holding doors. Like the other day, I was at the post office. I am literally carrying a stack of boxes almost over my head, little and big. This woman, I kid you not, she was walking in. She looked over her shoulder, saw me, and let the door close behind her. And so now I'm standing there with a stack of boxes, balancing on my knee, trying to open the door. Of course, now everything is falling. So now I'm trying to restack the stuff, get back in there because I got to open the second door. And I just kept thinking to myself, how hard is it to just be a good person? And it's not like I was far away from her. I was right behind her. Can you not just stop for 3 seconds and hold the door? It's just about being a good person. But I bet you she'll say she's a Christian and try to hold that over my head, right? Religion ain't about making the world better. I make the world better. I make the world better every day, and I have no religion.
From what I'm hearing, Grant, actually, it sounds like you just don't like gang members, like people who gang bang on what they believe. It's like if people are just doing good for goodness sake, or just doing good and not saying about it, I think you're perfectly fine with that.
No. I'm fine with anybody. I believe I appreciate people who can defend what they believe. I appreciate that. I don't like people who hide behind so-called selfless acts when they're very selfish.
I can dig that.
That's my issue.
That's holding people accountable. That's what you're supposed to do.
But why should anybody even have to hold you accountable to just be a person?
Because we're all our brother's keeper. Like humanity is a giant pack animal, and like any other pack animal, you have to hold people accountable. Like for example, if you see me doing something wild, you hold me accountable.
I'm gonna get you.
You hold me accountable, and I expect that because you care about me. That's how you. That's another way of how people show love by holding people accountable.
Yeah.
And good isn't like some baseline thing where it's just like if you're doing this, you're doing good. I think good is situationally based, and people who care about you, who have a standard or whatever, or at least some wits about them, should hold people accountable. I think it's regardless if you believe in God or have a religion or not. If you want to see humanity succeed and go to a better place, you have to hold people accountable. Holding people accountable is very important for just society to exist.
And that goes back to how you started the call. Not saying those people being wrong by saying that she needs to toughen up when, as you said, the hecklers needed to be held accountable for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's true. I agree with that. Absolutely.
What are you about to say, Grandpa? I see it on your mind.
Yeah, he leaned up. He got something to say.
No, I was just thinking about why this religion, Christianity, is so important to us. And when you think about slavery, and it was the Christians who enslaved other Christians, when you think about the Spanish Inquisition, when the Christians killed up a whole lot of other folks, if you look out through history, the Christians got blood on their hands. So you begin to wonder, well, what makes you be a Christian? Are you following what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Their history don't allow you to say, well, it allows you to say it, but you can't say it without meaning I'm a Christian when Christianity done killed so many people. It's pathetic, in the name of Christ. But the thing about that too, of course, if you go back and you find out, and everybody knows that Jesus was not a Christian, but he was a Hebrew, But we took Christ and put him in the forefront of all of the stuff we're going to do. We done invaded country and killed the indigenous people all over the world under the name of Christianity when Jesus was not a Christian. Does that make any sense?
Yes, but I'm still laughing.
Christianity must be kind of a false religion. If they got all this blood on their hands, they're still doing it. Right now, I know it's over in the Ukraine. Them Christians killing.
I remember. Was when I said this. I remember somebody reported that the Russians were having a hard time, not just because people were fighting back, was because they weren't sure who to shoot because everyone looked the same to them. They were they were white. The other people were white. They're like, these are our people. Who we supposed to shoot at?
But what's funny is that when I was watching The Last Kingdom last week, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, they out there on the battlefield. How they know? It is thousands of soldiers. How y'all know who actually on your team? I'm like, you got to be looking at that regalia or something, looking hard. But I'm like, I know they had to kill some of their homies and didn't even realize they was on the same
time
team.
That's the only time fashion is important.
All those people
when you're trying to get somebody and when you're trying to kill somebody.
Oh my God.
You got to know either way. You got to know who to hit.
All those people over there, they were so mixed. The mother was a Russian, their father was Ukrainian. I mean, it ain't just no one or two. I mean, the whole thing is messed up with the two things, going together.
Yeah.
I know somebody was talking about.
You got interest on both sides. That's why if Putin were to come out on top, there's a lot of Christians or Ukrainians might have to answer to the people in Moscow because they've been fighting that, since 2014. So whoever wins, somebody else got a heck of a price to pay.
It's definitely. I was reading a story. This is an older gentleman over there who's like fled his village in the Ukraine to like get out the war that is going on right now. It was ironic to him that this was happening because he used to serve in the USSR military. So the people who are attacking him are people who either, he's not old enough where he would have trained them, but were essentially part of the same army that he was a part of. So it's surreal. Like he was talking about how surreal it was to be fleeing from the very thing that he was once a part of. And that's got like I thought about that in relation to Grandpa's stories about how he was in the military, but yet they still remembered he was black, and how when they were taking those German soldiers to get something to eat, he wasn't allowed to eat. So like even though
he was down there in down in Texas, I'm trying to think of where it was. So Texas,
it's just
it might have been Fort Radical. Anyway, where they had the German prisoners,
Yeah, but like my point was, it's surreal that it like that's a story, but like Grandpa done lived that and still lives that to this day in the country that he done protected and served.
Yeah, for real. Say this place.
A lot of German soldiers had it so good over here. And when the war was over, they came back over here. And if you take that northern part of the United States up there around Nebraska, all back in the northern part of the United States, there's a lot of Germans settled there. You know, they came back and said, "Oh man," and when they were put in the war, they had it so nice they'd come back.
That's crazy.
Orange County. They said Orange County is where they took a lot of Nazis and those Nazi scientists all settled there in Orange County, California.
Wow.
It's a lot of Nazi stuff that came over here like after the war that
Oh yeah,
became American. But you know, we gotta make sure we get back to the original topic. Auntie, I know you got the flashcards out. Let's just drop some lady history.
Yeah.
I had flashcards.
Uncle Pooh Bear had it or something. Y'all had it last time.
You don't need no flashcards because you remember them anyway.
That's right, Auntie.
Volume 2, Women.
Pops, you want me to run off the whole deck?
No, I ran through some of them. You know, I said, "Oh yeah, you know."
Oh, Grandpa said he know.
Women played an important role in our progress
In everything.
and everything. There you go.
In everything. And that's why it's so interesting to say that, because the boys would always say, "Mommy, you a feminist." And I am. There's nothing wrong with that. I love y'all. Y'all know I do. But there's nothing that can match the power and the strength of a Black woman.
Yeah, man.
Not just, that's one thing I own and I know.
That's what happened when that white guy found it out, when he told that legislature kiss his ass. And he said, "Oh, you done picked on the wrong woman now." Yeah, you got a fight on your hands. Hey, we ain't gonna just settle this with, you know. He wound up apologizing, but he was getting ready to get whooped.
Look here. It just reminded me of that picture. Fred, where is it from? That lady holding that big ass machete to the police officer in Jamaica. One of those, they were about to try to arrest her grandson or something, and she held a damn machete to their neck, like, "You would not hurt my grandson up in here." Like, just, I don't know, we're a different breed. And maybe it's because like nephew said, you know, we'll both the Pooh and nephew said, you know, as Black people, we only recognized in February, and as women, we only recognized in March. So it's like we get a whole bunch of trash the rest of the year. 10 months, y'all only got 11 months to deal with. We got 10 months to deal with. But
well, that's not necessarily true, because think about the psychology of that. So
What?
It's saying that Black people as a whole are worth less than white women, because Women's History Month was originally designed for white women. Just like feminism was originally designed for white women.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said. We got tacked on.
How do you reconcile that, Auntie?
Honestly, I don't give a damn. Because I feel like, just like with Black History Month, okay, great. I'm glad you're taking time, as Nancy Pelosi did. I'm glad y'all taking time.
Nancy Pelosi class.
Look here, we will take her in the delegation. Nancy Pelosi she bowed it. But okay, if y'all want to finally take a month out to acknowledge us, that's great. But I acknowledge my feminism, my Blackness every day. I don't need a month. It's cool that people finally want to pay attention during those months. But that's how I look at it.
When Nancy Pelosi clapped and tore up the speech of you know, they want to say that it was classified information, you know, so government information that's tearing up his speech, you know, when they got 100,000 copies of it, you know. But anyway, in the same sense, Trump took all the stuff out of the White House and carried it to Mar-a-Lago and went through it, and some he put in the toilet. You know,
a whole mess. How the former president mess up the plumbing in the White House flushing documents?
It said secret.
What that happened?
You didn't know that? You haven't heard about that, where they said that they had plumbing issues because it was a lot of documents that had been flushed, and they suspected that they said that Trump was telling them to flush documents. You hadn't heard that?
He took 15 boxes. That information all belongs to the American public. You don't take nothing out of the White House when you leave, you know. He had 15 boxes of documented secret information, classified information. Can't tell what you call them. They recovered the stuff, because it's supposed to go to the archives, and he was talking about that one piece of paper that Nancy Pelosi tore up, and he had 15 boxes of information.
And
And
it's
he
a
ain't
shame.
done nothing yet, he's supposed to been in jail,
It's a shame that you could hear the most idiotic things and
Well,
you
go
think
ahead.
it's just it gotta be a joke. But everything about you want me to stop so you can talk about Ivy West?
Go for it.
Everything that I hear about Trump at this point, I believe it all. Because I was looking at a picture the other day and I was like, I can't believe he was actually president. Like, that was the president. What the heck? But yeah, I'm surprised y'all didn't hear about the whole flushing of the toilet documents. He was like, he was under no obligation to turn them over.
Yeah. And Barr said that he didn't believe he was going to be president. And he still couldn't understand how he got to be president.
I still can't.
Man,
I just can't.
That was supposed to be a joke till he got elected.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible. But what you got? I know you like Ida B. What you got?
Yeah, I like one of the wild stories about her is in 1884. Y'all, I don't know what y'all know about it, but she was pretty feisty, right? So quote unquote, right? She just didn't take no mess. But in 1884, they tried to forcibly remove her from her first class seat on the train.
Oh yeah, that's what called.
She not only they tried to move her to the back of the bus, right? She not only refused to go to the back of the bus, boy, she fought. And she raked the face of the conductor, you know what I mean? Like, she left a mark on him. And of course, they took her to jail and all that good stuff. And she sued the train station, the Enterprise, and she won, by the way. This
I
is
didn't know that.
1884.
By Plessy versus Ferguson, the same thing. Here's a black man telling him that he got the separate but equal. That's where that came about, He can't ride up front, but you don't have an equal place in the back, No, that ain't going. But that thing stuck until 1954, the same way I.B. Well went through,
Yeah.
You can sit up front.
Yeah, she was a bad sister, man.
Oh yeah.
That sister didn't play. We be out here. We out here playing games today. We act like everything funny, and nobody can take anything seriously. But we kind of made fun of the closer they were to slavery, the more stern they were, more we said forgiving, but it's really not. They just endured so much, But they lived in a time like 1884. Man, think about it. That's 20 years from the emancipation. 21 years from the emancipation. Like, she ain't like she was 50 at the time. You know what I mean? So, man, like. Ain't like she was 15 at the time.
That's my point. But think about it. There's people who are still here who are grandpa's age, whose grandparents were slaves. Literally slaves, and they passed down that mindset to their children and grandchildren.
Well,
and
not even that mindset.
And it's not like slavery ended during emancipation either. Like,
right,
the black laws ended in the 60s. So all that time, you could still be a peon. You were still under the law of peonism.
Yeah, and you think about the climate then, you had to be like, this is why, like, Mary McLeod Bethune is like one of my favorites, because at 10 years old, she was walking to school in 1985. At 10 years old, she's walking.
1985.
1885.
I was going to say.
Even I thought it was preposterous what you said.
I think I got it right.
Yeah,
Cabo Ready Freddy is having trouble.
Cabo Ready Freddy feeling good, buddy. But I'm gonna say 1885. But she grew up on the plantation that her parents were enslaved on. Right? Like, think about that, bro. Like, this is the place that your parents were enslaved. They grew up as what do they call it when you was farming the land after sharecropper. They were sharecropping on the land, and that's the environment that she grew up in. And then she gets an opportunity to go to school because there wasn't no school for black people at all. She gets an opportunity to go to school. She was one of 17 children, by the way.
Mhm.
And she walked as like 10,
Yes,
11,
yes,
12
yes.
years old, 5 miles to school by herself in the South. Like, what? Like, what did she encounter? What type of stories does she have? What type of stories do all of them people have, right? And think about the fear. Like, slavery was just over. Like, you run into some white people, man, they can snatch you, pull you up on the backwoods plantation, and it's all over, and the nightmare begins again. So I think when we encounter older people and they tell you to grow a thicker skin, because I think they be like, bruh, you ain't going through shit. Like, suck it up and get it done. Like, let's
But
we
that's a
you worried
tool.
about somebody talking.
That's
Ain't
a tool of
nobody
white
snatching your
supremacy.
body and nobody hanging you from trees. It's time for us to advance. Like, stop talking so much and worried about your feelings. It's time to go. I think that's where they come from.
That's not the same. I don't think so. The tone and these people were saying just she needs to toughen up. It's just gonna happen. That's what it sounds like. That's what it
Yeah.
sounded like to me. And some of them even made it point blank, like it ain't that bad. They were using what you were saying, but in reverse. To me, that's a whole. To me, that's a tool of white supremacy, where you can get people like who are physically free, but they maintain the systems because they're like, well, it's better than it was.
I don't think they maintaining this. I don't think all of them are maintaining the system. Let me say that.
When you,
Some of
to
them,
me, any level of white supremacy is a problem, no matter how small. So to
any
if
what?
you're if
Any
huh?
what?
Any level of white supremacy.
is bad, no matter how small. So if you
Yeah.
okay any level of it, you're a part of maintaining the system.
I don't think they okaying it, but I get where you're coming from. They didn't condemn it either. They didn't. They chose to speak to her rather than talk down the situation. But I just think in their heart of hearts that the real speech is, come on, sister and brother, y'all, it ain't shit holding y'all back like it used to be. Like, it's time to go. Y'all bigger, better, stronger, faster, smarter than we were, and you got more opportunity.
So
Come on.
I get what you're saying. I feel like both are right. She has the absolute right to request that this heckler be removed because that's what the rule is,
I agree.
and it should not, be ignored for her. And our elders have the right to share that with her, right? Share their opinion. I personally don't like the public acknowledgement of it. I prefer it to be, hey, send some messages to her publicist or her DMs on IG or whatever, and be like, sis, I know this shit is rough, but you tougher than that. We've been through a lot more. Da 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 da.
Even
As
the comments
opposed
could have
to
been that way, but
right,
yeah.
as opposed to looking like they're standing with the people who wronged her. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just a time and a place for everything. Yeah, okay. I know she could be stronger than this. I know she could be tougher than that. But I'm not going to let these other folks see that. It's certain ways that you behave in mixed company. So I can absolutely get what you're saying. And I agree with that because there is a lot, she's going to endure a lot more.
Yeah.
Even though she's already gone through a lot. That's the crazy thing. She's already gone through a lot. She went through, all that scrutinization, the scrutiny or whatever, with her mental health. People talked about her for that, where she has the right to take a damn day or take a week, a month, whatever she wants if she's not feeling right.
Not to mention she's not black enough for black people or Asian enough
Exactly.
for Asians.
Who is this?
Naomi Osaka. We still talking about Naomi?
Mm-hmm.
So she's going through a lot. She can't catch a break. And it's frustrating. I feel for her. She should be able to express her feelings. She should be able to get everything that's due to her. She does not have to endure all of the criticism just because of the position that she is in as a celebrity and as an athlete. She is still a human being. Like when we talked about with the Simone Biles thing, and now whether it's right or whether it's true, not whatever. If someone feels that they need mental time to step away for their mental health, allow them. It's like people would rather see those people fall off the edge for the sake of their entertainment. And it's so frustrating and it's sad. Because if that was your loved one,
I think to your point, Auntie, and I think you're right, that we need to do a better job being on code. No one should have said nothing to her publicly, like in the post and everything. It should have been like you said. Someone should have pulled her to the side, like, "Hey, we know it's tough, but right now, while we're working on this, we'll be with you, and just handle it privately and publicly. Everyone should have admonished that venue. They should have admonished those people who did that
There we go.
and everything. Because, I mean, that's really the strategy. You see, when anything happened with a black person, white people be like, that person's the devil. These white angels over here never do that. We need to be up on game because that's how you win wars.
Yeah.
Wait, did anybody see this interview of this Ukrainian, this black Ukrainian?
You talking about the man who was just like, who was African? He was just like, I never thought about this, and like,
Yeah,
you know, like no matter where you are, you're
Ukrainian,
still black.
He spoke Ukrainian, right?
Yeah, he was trying to escape Ukraine. He was just like,
Yeah, but
no matter where you are, you're still black.
This one I'm talking about spoke Ukrainian. He was a Ukrainian. That was his nationality. And he said they were telling him, go back home. He said, I am home, you know. Ukraine is my home. I'm an Ukrainian citizen. And he spoke Ukrainian, but they were telling him, black man, go back home.
A whole mess.
I mean, I think I've seen several stories like that, like where they weren't letting black people on the trains.
Yeah, but this particular man, you know, they interviewed him. He wasn't going nowhere. He was a Ukrainian.
Is it? I'm looking at Pops. When you say white people,
what you mean?
What you mean? White Americans. White Americans. Because we talked about that when we came back from Jamaica in December. We talked about how, you know, white Americans are just viewed that way by everybody, even the white Europeans and everything else. Because where were they from, Fred? Scotland? Was it Scotland? And something like that. But they were just like, they felt so bad for us as Americans, and they just talked, you know, they didn't like white Americans. So that's what I mean. So Pops, is this who you talking about? Nephew, could
Oh yeah. I don't see it coming up yet.
Okay.
Like,
is this the video that you're talking about, Pops?
Where's it at?
This guy?
I don't think that's him. What is he saying?
I don't know. It just said what being a black man in Ukraine. So maybe it ain't him. I'm trying to find an interview.
Somebody trying to leave there, right?
I don't know. I didn't listen to it. I'm just over here Googling, trying to find an interview with a black Ukrainian because I'm curious to see.
This guy was a darker skin, you know. And they was interviewing him. They were saying they were telling him to go back home. He said, hell, you know, this is my home. Because he spoke fluent Ukrainian, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to look for it.
Y'all know what it is. Stop acting like you don't know what it is.
What you mean?
He black. He got that melanin in his skin. There's an issue.
He said we used to white people.
Huh?
Which part comment you talking about? I missed something. My bad.
I'm talking about this whole discussion. Like, you know, oh my God, he's Ukrainian. He's not Ukrainian. They know he's not Ukrainian. They don't give a damn that you got the license. It's just like you're an American, right? They don't care that you got the license. That don't mean nothing.
That part.
This still ain't your homeland. Despite you go back a few hundred years, nobody that looks like them lives here. A lot of people that look like us live here, but this ain't our home and this ain't our land and all of that good stuff, right? But you know what it is? It's the same. It's the same with the outrage over what's happening in the Ukraine, right? And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be outraged over what's happening in Ukraine. I'm just saying the outrage on the global scale, at least in the white Western media and social media, is pure outrage because it's white skin being assaulted.
Oh my gosh! Go ahead.
They were saying that out of the 8 million people. Now this was some. I guess you would say left wing, but out of the 8 million people in the world, 7 million people were going along with what we just getting the wrong information. 7 million going along with
million people.
So it ain't what you hear on our thing ain't what really going on. That globalization, you know, I don't want to get into it, but the globalization and thing, and that neo-Nazi stuff, there's a whole bunch of stuff behind both of them, you know.
I don't want to get into it, but let me talk about
it. And yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm sure, you know, the global geopolitics of it all.
Yeah, somebody was on YouTube, you know, and I was just saying, listen, I said, man, you can really get messed up in your thinking, you know.
Yeah, especially when you consider that most people are just speculating anyway. So you don't
Yeah.
really know who to listen to, who's the truth coming from. And when you listen to Western media outlets, it's angled in a particular way. But that's why it's good to listen to a lot of different news sources to start formulating your own opinion.
Yeah, YouTube really does be dropping wild stuff, except this particular channel.
Yeah, everywhere else is wild.
Everyone else is garbage. But no, I mean, I do know. I just don't like the fact that what I saw earlier. You can't claim like it's just weird that I see that a lot from a certain age, like black people of a certain age, where they just seem more lenient on what white people do to us. But one lady said something like around the terms of this, and I'm not quoting. This is just paraphrasing. She was just like, "I heard she lives with a rapper. You know that she needs to get her life right or whatever." And I'm like, "Man, what is her having? Who is she dating, and what their living situation have to do with this particular situation?" And she didn't respond to me. And I just think that's weird that such a mentality of a whole like why do black people need to be perfect in order to deserve some type of like empathy? Like you see she's being heckled. We know what the rules are. The rules only apply to us. Always. That's what I've learned from reading all those comments. I'm like, it's like, damn, I'm like, you see this girl now is a good tennis player. She hasn't won championships, and you trying to figure out, oh, she deserved to be the thing said to her because she dates a rapper? And I'm like,
well, this is the same thing that happens
you find out who the rapper is. I'm like, we don't hear nothing bad about this dude. We don't hear nothing like him doing like problematic
this is the same thing that happens when the state kills an unarmed black person on camera in front of everybody. Then the character assassination starts. It's like this is just classic blueprint, activity.
But these are
but we just keep falling for it, acting like we don't just see the same playbook over.
Yeah, what I'm saying is these are from our own people. That's what's disheartening about it. Because
you got agents among you too, right? Oh. Everybody ain't your friend. They might look like you, though. I mean, they're your friend. They don't got to be on your team. You know what I'm saying? You know what team you on. Like, they just play their position.
No, I mean that makes perfect sense. I'm just saying it's disgusting that it's always the same age group. Not what Grandpa's say because Grandpa's an outlier.
That's what the kid's gonna say about your age group.
Hey, that's fine.
It's always these Negroes of a certain age and then millenniums.
He asked you questions. He wants you to clarify what you mean by agents.
Plants. Or somebody working from the inside. Yeah, they get paid off all the time. We've always, I mean, this has been the trick for hundreds of years. Probably thousands. It just wasn't as effective thousands of years ago. It just started working recently. They always been paying folks off, or to align your interests with ours, right? That's how it goes. Align your interests with ours. Let's just work together. All right, go on to close it out. Let's get back to work so we can pack. Freddie Cabo got his.
Oh yeah, hey, I go into
Freddie Cabo.
Get a little sunshine, eh?
Yeah, Freddie Cabo. There we go.
Yeah, how long y'all gonna be there?
Just through the weekend.
Oh, 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, let's wind down the show. How about Uncle Pooh, where you were talking last? Give your final thought.
I don't know. I enjoyed the banter with y'all today. It's been a good one. I like when we hit all over the place. We're gonna have one series about Women's History Month one of these times. Maybe in April.
Oh, hey, Grandpa, what's your final thought today?
My final thought is keep. Well, you don't have to keep your eye on because it's only 7 days, 24 hours a day. But keep your eye on the Ukrainian thing. It's going to be eye-awakening. That's my final thought.
I'll get my final thought because I want you to go last. Black people, you don't have to be perfect to deserve empathy. You don't have to be perfect to deserve a raise or whatever, because no one else is perfect and they're getting the exact same benefits. So remember that, and always be empathetic and caring for your own people, because when the shit finally hits the fan, Jay-Z and Oprah and all them people gonna be running down the street just like you, and then white people coming for you. So it's better to get on the same footing now. And as usual, Women's History Month. I guess I'm gonna big up my aunt, my mama, my grandmothers. You know, my beautiful wife, all the women in our family who are doing things, and the ones who, and that's anything, because I feel like people do that in a way. That's like anything you're doing it for yourself. And God bless you. That's my final thought.
Right on. I'm just going to end by saying I'm a black feminist and I'm proud every day.
We need a lot of them. We need more of y'all. Recruit some more.
I'm trying, Pops. I'm trying.
If y'all gonna be in Cabo, if y'all gonna be, you can just for the weekend. I was gonna say if y'all gonna be there when we call you next for the show.
Yeah, nah. We won't have the exotic location in the background.
Okay. Well, next week we'll do the same time, same place. You know, hopefully we'll get a little bit more of the the history talking points. But it was a good discussion today. I learned a lot from Auntie. She dropped some gems.
Yeah, well, we gonna have the black women again next week, right?
Yes, sir.
I
2 more weeks of black women.
4 more weeks.
Auntie said like it was a threat, like she was gonna beat somebody.
I mean it.
She's like, yeah.
We gotta stay
2 more weeks.
All right, y'all. See you.
All right, love y'all.
Love you.